built a little empire out of some crazy garbage called the blood of the exploited working class. But they've overcome their shyness, now they're calling me your highness, and the world sings, kiss me, son of God. Sorry. But no, oh, should I do more? I look like, I've got the hair, I look like Jesus, so they say. But Mr. Jesus is very far away. Now you're the only one here who can tell me if it's true that you love me and I love me. Sorry, that might be giant sideways. But fill a little space because look, there's no music that's going on right now, and now I'm going to be making noise. So, ladies and gentlemen, hi, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and all of that stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Cafe Gallery I was just like, and I've vowed to not read Christmas poems because, although I wore green, and I've got ornaments on for earrings because I could just put them onto my little hoops and leave them. That's my way of getting into the thing. I wanted to share because people who know I run literary magazines, CC&D and Down in the Dirt magazine. I might as well pull out the Down in the Dirt one because it's the first one in my hand. This one, named after a piece that was in the book, is called Drowning, which is this really cool Washington Avenue photo of the water and everything on it. And there's a lot of prose in this with Down in the Dirt. It's really awesome. And the CC&D collection book for 2013 is actually named after the Volume 6 issue, and it's called Art is Not Meant to Be Touched. Because back in October '93, I had this issue, Art is Not Meant to Be Touched, and I made it, and I put like a bit of wallpaper that was mirror on the front cover, and I dripped candle wax onto a page, put like scratch and snip stickers on pages and stuff. And I talked about the whole idea, so I tried to find like the thickest canvas thing to be able to have for a cover for Art is Not Meant to Be Touched. And that's got a bunch of cool people in there, including types of like Janine Ravisloot and the like. But I thought, because I don't happen to have, because I'm not going to read anything for the brand new 2014 calendar, don't forget it, because it's not 2014 yet. But I figured I'd read one thing from the After the Apocalypse date book. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to read two pieces from this new book because I just happen to have a book release of my stuff that was published with, or was released in the past, either live or on CD, with music from the Francois Leroux, the Hamon of South Africa. It was onto a CD that was called Burn Through Me, and actually he had some artwork that was appearing with that background of this photo for it. So I thought I would read the piece, maybe I might sandwich in a poem from After the Apocalypse in there. But this poem, maybe I'll just do two because this is a long one. This is a poem called What It All Means. I don't know how many times I have to hear the same story over and over again. How many people are going to tell me the same news, each time a little differently, with a little more information? I wonder how many times I will get to hear the same news, each time told me just a little differently. I wonder how long it will take before I get a real picture of what happened, to see what it all means to me. I still didn't remember being there. I think someone put something into my diet soda I was drinking from. I know I never took that drink out of my eyesight, but that drink had to have been tainted before I even got that first sip. Well, I knew that I would be getting lunch while I was at work. And the last thing that I actually remember was actually going off my work day. You see, I went to Gordon's Cafe, where they usually have lunch, where I forgot to bring my own food. The next thing I remember was that I was in the hallway of a building. I only discovered that this was actually the basement of the building after I was there. They had witnesses there. And they had witnesses that were there, and they were asking that witness questions. Oh, who they thought was attractive, and did they live alone? I didn't know why this was going on, or if they were going to ask me these questions like this too. And then I saw one of the men asking questions, and I saw that he had a gun. So I figured I must have been knocked out, so I knew I had to keep myself together. So I thought for a brief moment, and I checked my body, checked my head or whatever, to see if any parts of my body were in pain. They weren't. Well, I thought it would be a good idea, and it's always a good sign to not be in pain. So I pressed on my forehead, and I tried to squint my eyelids for a little bit so that it looked like I was actually in pain. I thought maybe that would be a natural way to act like I was in pain and still concentrate on what the other guy was saying. I thought I might be next. So then a couple of guys were there, and they were dressed the same way, wearing gray slacks. And then I started to look around, and I could see that they all had guns too. But just before I noticed that there had to be like 10 of them in this room, the water sprinklers came on, like only 5 seconds after the fire alarm started going off. Now, everyone in the room just went into this sort of a panic, and the guy next to me, who was in regular business clothes, grabbed my hand and said, "Let's go out through a side door and go to the right." I started to look around, and I saw that everyone was running around, and that anyone running the show, they were all, and the people that were there, even the ones that had guns, they all seemed to be in a state of panic. So I just kind of followed this stranger out the door. No one even noticed us leaving the room in the basement. He must have been conscious when he first went into that room. I didn't know my way around that basement. I followed him until we got to the lobby level, and the guy wanted to just keep on going right out of the doors, and I stopped, and I told the people at the front doors that there were men with guns in the basement. It was right by the elevator. That's when I actually told them this. Okay. So I wasn't a hero in that scene. I never get caught in scenes where I have to do something that I normally wouldn't do. If it wasn't for this guy who was right next to me in the basement, I probably would have never even moved from my seat. The guys with the guns, they got caught later that day, and they tried to take a hostage or two before they got caught, but they gave up. And they didn't even get any of the money they wanted. I guess that's what a happy ending is all about, I guess, after all. No one got hurt. But what does it mean to anyone? I mean, to anyone that actually sees a story on the news? Probably not much, because they didn't live through it. No, it was just I who lived it. Piece of the story that was actually written right after I was almost killed in a car accident. And I just gave up with that thing. But I think you need to hear something that is a little more holiday related, because I wasn't going to read anything of my own. But this is a poem in December of 2013, after the apocalypse. I have to show it off. Da da da, after the apocalypse. Blah, 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 because, last year. That was the end of the world, blah, blah, blah. This, so that's why it's named that. This is a poem by Holly Day, and it is called Shameless. My son comes home from my mother's house and informs me there's no such thing as Santa Claus. And I am crushed. I am devastated. He is 5. And I got to believe in Santa until I was 9. Grandma's senile. I console him. But he is being so brave and so grave. It's all I can think. I just wanted to tell my mom that she can never see him again. Punish her. Make her see how bad this day is for me. Because no amount of backpedaling will make Christmas the same for us again. Holly Day. That's my Christmas one. I think, oh boy, oh no, I'm not even gonna call it my sidekick because there's this really sexy man over there with his arm over the chair, and I'm hoping Joffrey's gonna read for me. He said, what? Come on, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Joffrey, come on up, my darling.
Be off, man.
I think he just looked like, sex man, what are you talking about, boy?
Yeah, well, I'll read two. This first one comes out of the inspiration of a theme night for dead poets at Weeds. I wasn't ready when I should have been, but after a week or so later I had something, and this is it. Title, Reflections on Coming Late and Unprepared to a Session on Dead Poets. The epigraph is from Sherman Skolnick, who was reported murdered by Mossad 7 years ago last May, report from anonymous source. New York City firemen, there were bombs in the building. Cyberspaceorbit.com. Crucial info evidence, explosives toppled WTC. I didn't hear about the poet until he was dead. If died he did in 53, my memory is 2 years off. I thought it was 55. When I walked through Manor Hall, finding people almost in tears that his scheduled appearance had been canceled. And why was it so? Do not go gently into that good night, whatever. Shows somebody walking with uncertain motivations. Maybe he was being urged to run or charge, rather than rage for a sickbed. And what the hell did it matter to the poet anyway? And toward whom? It made as much sense as Rilke talking angels to an atheist. Another dead poet. He might just as well have been writing in a dead language, the best language for a dead poet. Shakespeare will get his turn. How do you Twitter Hamlet? After mastering Rilke, where Dylan Thomas failed to keep an October appointment, Jan Holzesen got on the masthead of Der Spiegel or Die Sterne, dead poetry, rather dead poets, found poetic use in the country where Red Star radicals, seeing themselves as the fairest of all, kidnapped and killed unangelic publishers. In college and out of college, Sherman Skolnick tried poetry. His honest lines did up on corruption at Christmas times. But Mossad made him dead for his tower-toppling prose, which can grab like poetry, oddly placed in the epigraph. Jerry Kuypers almost wants to dance. Weeds audiences find their voice in those poetic rhythms. And just maybe, like Bertolt Brecht, did a woman friend spook his lines? Dead poets / unemployment, because you have to hire professors to explain them. Otherwise, the center does not hold. But do dumbed down audiences have problems with this live poet? like the poet himself may have with famous dead poets, when they fetch their status quo fantasies to my debunking reality. Nothing like death, long death, to certify a dead poet, which might pose a prejudice to qualifying memory that remembers me in his millennium lines.
I almost want to dance. You got me.
Bring us some words we can dance to and a melody that runs.
And this is the one you have. A Christmas Carol. The epigraph would be the same as you just heard, but Scotty has an alternative to the same effect. He goes to http://people.aol.com/11859,1745992-3,00.html. New York Fire Department's chief arson investigator said on 9/12/2001 that internal explosives were used to bring down the WTC towers. As we enter the bah humbug season, I appreciate humbug in two senses. One, the ghetto meaning of a fight, which rages in Syria, the CIA using Al-Qaeda to successfully destroy another ruling class created hegemon for Israel, as when 120 cruise missiles invaded the Arab Spring in Libya, and Iraq opened up to Al-Qaeda by destroying Saddam and the national defense, which kept them out. 2, killing Osama bin Laden, if dead, being thinking in sense 2, as though it mattered, as though his impotent efforts ever really mattered. 3, but Bob Rashkow comes from behind a smoke screen to enlarge sense 2 to disabuse me of the conspiracy error that a ballistic charge puts that hole in the Pentagon, to account for the lie of AA Flight 77, which never existed, for the work done on Pentagon, like that done on Building 721 WTC, done by explosive charges planted within to get permanent war for Israel, on the way to world government dictatorship, accomplished in part by well-placed charges killing the accountants and their accounting, which shows 2.3 trillion, 5 trillion, thinking trillions of dollars, and always more rather than less, trillions of dollars stolen for Zion by Israelis in Uncle Sham clothing, Wolfowitz, Zackheim, the Prince of Darkness emplaced like a pearl, Chertoff within or without the Pentagon, using defense to rip off the defenseless, if that be you paying taxes, $450 billion of which used by CIA to sabotage the Soviet Union, to collapse into a criminal capitalist reservoir for dumping Jews on the backs of Palestinians/Third World. The unheretofore realized size of the humbug maximizes the impotent irrelevance of protesters praying for monies for this or that without shouting along with, "Death to Israel! Smash the Pentagon!" Remarkable in themselves, if usury means using people, as in high finance. And quite apart from the fact that the money, or the myth of money, created out of thin air, is owned by the Rothschilds, who keep it with 4 theatrics played out in Dallas. Although not a novice for citing conspiracies, it seems that Hanukkah got onto the humbug by her woman's intuition, being activated by a split TV image of W calm in a schoolroom while bodies were cascading out a twin of the towers. I might have seen it only as photo art, perhaps worthy of a Pulitzer. Me requiring something more physical, like Building 7, imitating Buildings 2-1 without jet impact. If the Bilderberger gods are not to re-Cassandra-ize Barbara, poetry and expose must be more than spectator sport, must convert truth into the weaponless innocence of revolution, inclusive of tax resistance, such as might be fashioned from the Orwellian dictum.
I can't clap because I got my book. I'm like, you know what, I can't clap because I got my book.
And what I need to, let you know and let everybody else here know, because we've got so many fascinating different voices here, is that I am fully supportive of the U.S. government and our ways to infiltrate every aspect of your lives. This is why I video record open mics. And I broadcast them out to the world, because I'm just not going to be like, I'm going to keep it for myself and go nanner boo-boo at you because I know something about you. So this YouTube thing this video of the open mic will become an open mic, and or a video clip. I should let everybody know, because we are not going to be working in this, right around January 1st, I think and we've got the week off for that way. It's going to be a month before we're up. That means for anybody that's interested in knowing anything about open mics, well, we could put up the podcast things every week normally, but I'm not going to be around for them. So what I'm going to do is actually just post them all up in a place where anybody could download them at any time. And I'm going to do that hopefully by the end of the week, so that we'll have like 3-4 weeks of stuff until our next open mic, which is on January 15th, with Patrick Hurley as a feature. Yay! And everybody's like, I'm going to come, but I'm not going to give him too much props right now, because I'm all propping for Deborah Rosen right now. I was going to read something. This is why this is such an appropriate cover, because it's so freaking cold outside right now. That we have to have all the snow and thing for drumming. I was going to read, oh yeah, by the way, Travis Green wrote a book called Drumming, and that's why that was in there. I'm like, why am I holding the page? And I just lost it, but I was going to, I had it, and now at Christmas Cliff by MCD. I mean, like, I can find anything on any page, but there are really long stories in here as well. I was going to read something really briefly before I call up Jerry Pendergast. Before that, I call up my wonderful, sexy, adorable sidekick, Bob Rashkow. But before Jerry, I was going to read this one, The Carpet Factory, The Shoes, which I think is the first thing that I saw the Hamlet of South Africa perform with when I met him. This is the Kuypers factory, the shoes, and it's nice and depressing, because that's what us poets do. We do depressing pieces, I guess. Kuypers factory, the shoes. I heard a story today about a little boy, one of many who was enslaved by his country in child labor. In this case, he was working for a carpet factory. He managed to escape. He told his story to the world. He was a hero at 10. But the people from the factory held a grudge. And today I heard that the little boy was shot and killed on the street. He was 12. And he complains to me when I buy shoes that are made in China. And now I have to think, did somebody have to die for these? Will somebody have to die for these? I know, it's hard to be like, I know, I totally get that, but thank you very much. I just wanted to read something from here because I don't know how often I'm going to be bringing this book around in 2014. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, always talking to Trisha, my lady. Give it up for Jerry Pendergast. Come on up, everybody, darling. I'm with the loudest clapper ever. So, hi.
I also have something kind of Christmassy.
Uh-oh.
Reflections at my kitchen table, late December, late 80s, North-South relations. It's in 5 parts. 1, in St. Joseph of the Flowers, in a country called the Savior, a carpenter shares beans and rice with his family. His hands remember cutting the boards, a missing head under 6 feet by not very wide, 2 feet by dead from hunger or was it infection, 5 feet by raped and shot at 1 foot range. 2, in San Jose de la California, a steady pair of arms levels hedges. The arms, thorax, belly, remember the climb, the crawl, fleeing the country called the Savior. The heart, the ears, the nerves, remember the shots, the carpet bombings, home village left behind. 3, in DC, Estados Unidos, a soft guitar on a CD slips smoothly through silent night, jingle bells. Drinks, crackers, cheese, shrimp, passed around the reception room. Is anyone carrying the trays from an evacuated village? A senator slips a Bloody Mary. Tomato juice squeezed from a harvest outside San Jose de la Michigan, or was it Missouri? Index finger at the top of the glass, the finger that pushed the button yes, sending how many million this time after certification hearings to the country called the Savior. How silent can the night be, Senator, taking another sip of your Maria Sangriento? Do you remember the testimony? Maria y Rosa, found raped and shot at 1 foot range. Was their blood the color of Tabasco sauce when it dried? Does the vodka lighten the color, thin the consistency? Enough for you to forget? How silent can the night be, Senator, on your plane ride home? 4, how silent can the night be in the country called the Savior? Memories of the invasions, bombings, present during the long walk home from cities, camps. Christmas morning, preschool chant the names of the assassinated. Sorrowful, defiant presentes will fill the church. Back home, you will recite, "Give us this day our daily bread." Will you think of those who harvest the grain for your bread? Senator. During prayers after communion, will you remember a Latin prayer from childhood? Ite missae es. Would you be thinking, "It is I who miss the way things were in the world, in the church"? It is I who am out of range of the sounds of Los Nombres y Presentes and other sounds of a country occupied by its own military. When the mass murder has ended, oh, excuse me, I meant to say the mass has ended. Go in peace. 5. Senator spread jelly on toast next to his Christmas omelet. Skims New York Times travel section, sips coffee, picked by experienced hands. There are hourly wages not listed on the bag. Merry Christmas, Senator.
Oh, man.
Okay, I think I read this possibly. Forgive me if I read it last week. I know I read it recently. This is also has a little bit of Santa involved. Rural Santa something county. Monsanto. Monarchy? In rural Santa something county, monocrop growing. Crappies, bluegills swim in the lake nearby. Heavy metal claws turn soil over. Clause in the contract says no seed saving. Seeds pre-pesticided, fields irrigated with metal monsters. Will the runoff reach the lake, the groundwater? Do the faucets trickle slowly in the house on the farm, not with the program? In town, a guy in a Santa suit at a Walmart grand opening. In town, ho, ho, hoing. Does his voice sound familiar? Have you seen him entering, leaving Monsanto's office? Or was it outside a courthouse? Better watch what you say.
Oh, ouch. Monsanto.
Can I just make an announcement?
Of course you
And then
can.
I'll get the hell off the stage.
No.
I hope to see at least some of you, if not all of you, this Friday evening. Let them eat chocolate. I mean, there will be more than just listening to Pinkos like me run off the mouth. It's kind of a potluck. They're asking everybody to bring something. It's 5306 North Damon. Starting at 6 o'clock, there will be food and wine and beer, and then jazz and between like 6:30, 7:30, and then you get to listen to me and a few other people run off the mouth.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
I'm feeling bad because I'm not sure if I can make it because we're going to be going out of town. Yeah,
the GPA.
that's his GPA thing, and I'm like, I don't know if I can make that, but that sounds really cool. Because I have to be all Christmassy and so I go back and get some of my ears. Because I don't have them on my tree. I wanted to read something as an explanation because it's very, very short. You can't even see the texture on the art. It's not meant to be touch cover. But the point of this was I wanted to explain how we only seem to pay attention to a couple of our senses, usually. And so I did this editor's note in October 93, which is why it's named this. This is ours not meant to be touched. Of our 5 senses we possess, which is the one that we use the least? We use sight and sound constantly. We smell and taste our food 3 times a day, but we seldom pay attention to our sense of touch, unless during intimacy for the most part. There are things around us everywhere that we touch and we physically feel, but we never pay attention to. Try walking through your day, looking for different textures, maybe on a chair you're sitting in, or while you're passing through a marble hallway. Feel those surfaces. Understand objects in your environment for how they feel, as well as how they look. Once, I was at an art gallery at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., with two friends of mine, and I gave this speech to them. We were, actually walking into a room with a bronze statue of the crucifix against a wall, and it was an interesting surface, my friend thought. So she walked up to it and she started to feel the cold, smooth metal. Of course, that's when a guard from the other room ran in yelling, "Hey, don't touch that!" But the deed was already done. And he's probably still fearing that the bronze statue will crumple to pieces because she grazed it with her bare hand. There are reasons for some pieces of artwork to be kept away from human hands. Delicate old materials can be kept longer. But understanding the beauty in touch can be as important as the beauty in sound and sight, even if it's in the most simple of objects. In writing and art, the author or the artist writes to verbally or visually pull you in, to physically make you feel every move that they're trying to portray. Another way this can be accomplished is the actual physical touch. Another way is to be accomplished, I said that again, I'm saying the line again, and to interact with art can also make it that much stronger to the reader or the viewer. So enclosed are different textures, surfaces that you might be able to learn from. Some of these writers want you to emotionally react to, but remember that the purpose is to react and to also feel. That was just a little piece there. And I think and I have to do, just recently, for those who didn't know, who haven't heard me enough, I have been reading recently. I've decided to write a poem for every element in the periodic table. Which means I'm a science dork. Hi, I'm a geek. Why am I doing this? But the value of doing them when you get higher in the table, because you have to break and write crap about oxygen or hydrogen or something and leave it at that. But when scientists find 4 atoms and they don't know anything about it, you can actually have some fun with it. And because I just heard this evening from my sidekick, Bob Rashkow, who's going to be up tonight, that he wasn't able to actually hear the things that I read, I thought I would read the last one, which is very short in this periodic table run, and this is number 103, LR, in the periodic table. This is Laurentium. I've always tried to figure you out. I could never pinpoint your true destiny. All I know is that your radio activity to me left my bones so brittle. I know your heart is a hand grenade. You've left my skin so paper thin. You've corrupted me until my lips are forever shut. We're supposed to be lip-bound forever shut, but no, we have to introduce him. Please give it up for the bouncer himself, Mr. Bob Rashkow. Come on up here for Noah. My cute bones. It sounds like I just passed gas or something. Thanks for that.
That's one thing we don't have to have our sense of touch for.
What?
The doors. The doors of language. Most of you heard this 2 weeks ago. But I just thought I'd read it again. What the hell? The doors of the new year open like the doors of language. Octavio Paz, El Primer de Enero. All it takes is the night watchman with his lock. The doors will be shut tight, never to open again. Grammar, language arts, vocabulary, spelling lessons will become obsolete. Reading is no longer an option. The words will be fed on a copper and quartz platter for the mere click of a button, not the brief flick of a page. No more printed material. They will excuse themselves by reminding that no more felled trees, long live Squirrel Square, long live the new natural environment. We will receive short, crisp sound bites of one-word phrases. More Thin Mints for everyone, proclaimed the network news anchors. There is a very thin line between the recognition of a word and the familiarity of a tone, between the definition of a term and its inevitable distortion, between the comfort of hypnosis and the burden of discovering, between the sweetness of reward and the coated pill of insurance. What language will we use to clarify and color our new meanings when sentences are supplied by random electronic units popping like pistols into our weary, cynical, nothing sacred minds? Will you please shut the door? I'm trying to watch this show on TV. Thank you. From the Outlaw Bible of American Poetry. This is by Mike Golden, and it's called Lungs of Glass. I used to live there myself, so I feel sorry for them as their addiction cries out, pull, suck, bring the clouds into my throat. Soon snipers, bounty hunters will be on the prowl, hovering from rooftops as the poor bastards crouch in doorways for that forbidden fix. On the next wheeze, the time will be over. Pop goes the will. That quick marks the time, comes the passing of more than few good habits, lost in the nostalgia of early morning phlegm. Belmondo and breathless, lying face down, the butt burning by his side, was an image like cool hanging out of the lips. Don't fuck with me, man. Don't fuck with me. Can you see the vulnerability through the lens? Life is like this mirror we look through, the other side of our desire, and hang out wanting ourselves, our coolest possible selves, to spit in the face of the void like it means nothing. Nada, bitch. Not a thing. And finally, this is for and about Bill Yarrow. And maybe I'll get a chance to sing it for him sometime. So here it is. For poetry that hits the mark, I'll level on the square-o. There's no way you can ever miss, for there's none quite like Bill Yarrow. I met him down at Brothers K, attending a reading so rare-o. I made myself be introduced, that's how I met Bill Yarrow. In time he sold me a book or two, oh what a feast to share-o. I reveled in possessing some of the poetry of Bill Yarrow. From Philly town to Lincolnwood, he journeyed to form a pair-o. Settled in with lovely Leah for a happier Bill Yarrow. His poems have the razor's edge, avoiding straight and narrow. They tickle at your funny bone because they're by Bill Yarrow. So humorous, so clever and inspiring to aim my own arrow. Always welcoming feedback requests, that's experience Bill Yarrow. In print and online publishing, enough? Why, au contrario. It's a 40-mile drive to Joliet for college instructor Bill Yarrow. If poets could be like professional sports, he'd be a millionaire. Words worth their weight in gold from the brain of Bill Yarrow. An honor and a privilege for this poet to declare. It's hard to find a brilliant mind to compare with Bill Yarrow. Thank you. I didn't go very much.
I always let the floor like an idiot because I'm grabbing books because I'm publishing them, baby. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
And I'm like,
That was my last reading of 2013.
No kidding. Well, are you going to read this Friday? Are you going to?
I don't know if I'm gonna be.
Yeah, we don't know if we could make it, so I'm like, and then I'm gonna be going out of town, so I don't know if I can do anything. What I was gonna first do is I have to do this, and you have to do it in the sexiest way I know how, which is not very, but da-da-da-da-da-da-da. No, I'm just showing off of that quick little bag. I would like everyone to put their life savings into this handy dandy bag for our phenomenal feature this evening from Deborah Rosen. Yeah! I was feeling like well, I was gonna say I'm gonna read something, but before I call you up on that, I'm gonna pass it. I pass it to you. You can pass it over to John, and you can pass it all around the place, and we all know what's going on. And she's like,
Joffrey's the quarterback.
It's probably 8:30 already.
It's getting there. This is why I was going to read one other thing from Burn Through Me, and this has nothing to do with anyone really. Johnny. Sorry, I'm being silly. I'm hearing people talking, imitating.
Showing off his passing on.
This piece, I've never read anywhere, and this is called, and I have no idea why it is called this. It's called My Second Marriage. And it makes no sense, this song, but it's called My Second Marriage, so there you go. I could catalog these events for you. I keep records like a scrapbook would. I know how my mother kept dental records for me when I was an infant, and I know how she also kept a file of all the shots that I had had. And it's like that, I guess, a scrapbook or a photo album, and I could do that with my marriages. My first marriage was with one, it was one that I actually probably needed, but hindsight is 20/20, and maybe I needed counseling more than I needed a husband. Forgive me, I was new to this whole attraction and attachment thing, and this commitment thing, but I know I got it right when I tried. But maybe it was my fault, and I picked a guy that was just, compatible with me. I mean, he was a great guy, don't get me wrong. He wanted to learn from me, and I think he kept me on my toes, but I think he knew it wouldn't work out for us. And so he just waited until I came to that conclusion too. I don't know what I was going through or why I even went through my second marriage. People think I was crazy for putting up with him, for tolerating him, for including him. But I didn't care, because in my own little way, he was mine. It was a role reversal for me. I was used to being the weak one, in a marriage. I thought it was time, this time, I should learn my lesson. I decided when we went out, I decided how much money we would spend, what bars we would go to. I think it all boiled down to me deciding how much fun we would ever have. Maybe he followed me like a puppy dog who was just found his best friend, and his tongue was hanging out with excitement, and he would roll down the window of his car as we'd go to take off. I think the problem was that I wanted this marriage to work, but my puppy dog only accepted scraps from under the dining room table and never offered anything in return. And I swear I wanted something to work. I wanted this to work out for me. And it still pisses me off that in the back of my head, he couldn't think the way I wanted him to. And everything didn't just fall into place. Okay, my third marriage. It seems a bit more stable. I think he is a guy that balances out the two men from my first two marriages. And that kind of scares me. It makes me wonder if there's some woman out there who doesn't have a pot belly and has a lot more patience than me. Makes me wonder. That was very, Thank you. I just affliction, because Francois artwork on it. Because this woman said, I don't even want to wait for a break. Oh, gosh, Louise. Geez Louise, I think. Now I've got to figure out what I'm going to say for this one. No, because I have to be able to give a right and proper and fair intro, and that's why I just did that. Oh, what do I do now? No, because these are things that you have to actually make sure you say correctly and get everything out just right. Is there some nugget that you might share, or something that
you don't already know?
What? No. Holler out. What? What have you got, my darling?
I know.
Why don't you come up here? Because I'm going to talk about the person as a person, and you can talk about abilities. Come on up here, Bob. Come on up, Bowser. You're gonna give all the technical.
Well, I don't really know that much, but you know, I can help you out.
The rhino. But no, I can't say the rhino lady because that's not true. So not fair sounding at all. So say something, and I will go on about her. Go.
All right. Deborah Rosen is an excellent poet, and she edits Rhino magazine once a year out of the North Shore of Chicago. And she reads at various places, but more often than not publishes. And she's read at Brothers K. She's read, you know, in our first incarnation when David Rubin and Charlie Newman were hosting at the cafe. And yeah, at the Evanston Public Library and other venues around there. And okay, take it away, Jeanette.
Well, the thing that I think is beautiful is you listen to the actual poems that this woman performs, and they have a strength. No, they have a depth. I have to figure out the right word to be able to do this properly. They've got a depth that makes you feel that you're doing something more than, oh, I'm just going to sit and listen to somebody reading something off. This woman, I love her voice, I love her work, and I think everyone else does it well. And I think this is a perfect cap for 2013. So please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Deborah Rosen! Come on up, you brother!
She actually co-edits. She co-edits Rhino. She's one of the editors.
But that's okay, because there's enough work there.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to read from my latest poetry book, which is called Sightseer, and they're all my travel poems.
Tell us about the book.
I'll read from the book and it'll explain, but I'll give up anything in the world but travel. I love to be put in a place where I have no preconceptions and can just have the place explain itself to me. So, since we have a gentleman here who just returned from India, I will read the first poem in the book, which is called In India. Layers of time, like tectonic plates of braid, and women in their saris walk back and forth across the centuries, stitching them together with steps so slow and neat, the gauzy fabrics draping their faces scarcely ruffle, and the water pots on their heads seem tethered to the sky, where Shiva and Durga, Vishnu and Lakshmi move their disciples through endless lives, past Buddhist temples hewn from rock, and Mughal palaces where women watch the world through stone lattice, delicate as lace. I cannot slow my western stride, rein my body into smaller space. I ravage through days as if they won't be used again, and territory leaving swirls of debris. My mouth is too slack for slim Hindi words. My stomach sucks in villages of food. Still, believe I will learn, and it is enough to cross a field in a day, keep all I own in a thin metal box, that free of agents, trainers, tutors, teachers, excess will drain, my flesh become taut, until I can fit into India, be content to live one life at a time. And this poem, I won't tell you where it's from. I think you'll get that from the poem itself. It's called Iguazu Falls. I grip the handrail of this wooden bridge, damp with spray, grooved with old names. Yes, I whisper to each letter I touch. Here, at this spot, my name will give me foreverness too. Just here, where a spider web, thin as thought, links this handrail to that tree branch. Here, where a phalanx of ants is carrying a fly past the mountain of my shoe, and an agouti suddenly stands statue-like on a rock. Look, in the constancy of this mist, a butterfly has landed on my thumb, and I, with the merest tilt of my head, can create rainbow after rainbow, arching from Brazil to Argentina over Iguazu Falls.
I knew it was South America, but until you said Argentina, I wasn't sure which country.
It was fascinating. I could go from this spot to this spot, and I went from Argentina to Brazil. Made me feel very powerful. This poem is called Lulan Beauty, and it takes place in the Xinjiang Autonomous Region Museum in China. And you are beautiful, Lulan Beauty, in that red woven coat, fitted cloche, curls framing your long, thin face and nose. You could be merely resting in those hand-stitched leather boots. Please, I'm tapping on the glass. Was life tranquil 4,000 years ago in Xinjiang? Now I'm wandering your Taklamakan desert, looking for your serenity. I picture you on your hands and knees, coaxing barley or hemp from soil along the Tarim River, before the river wandered off from Lulan, left everyone in sand that leached away all liquid and all time. Time, that explains my tapping. Did you have time enough? The pleasure of mourning, with only one task and only one way to perform it beside a clean, flowing river? Was each day fresh and plump, none of our shriveled minutes flaking into dust? I read you are from the Celtic realm. Did you live always east of home? Are all of us strangers in a land not ours, searching for that beginning time of competency, confidence, all homesick, Eden always to the west? Are there any countries you'd like me to read about, particularly?
You got one for Turkey?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
How about Greece? Ecuador?
Not Ecuador.
Syria.
Greece.
I shouldn't have asked. I have China.
China!
Do another China.
Okay.
I just saw a Chinese movie last night. So that's
All right.
I have a Chinese phone.
I'm going to read let's see. I'm going China. This is my one political column. I wrote it for one of our previous presidents. Pillar of Salt, China. The Emperor of all China traveled from his Beijing palace south to Hangzhou, city that Marco Polo told him was most beautiful in the world. Ah, but in Beijing, the emperor told his Hangzhou hosts, we have a white pagoda. That night, the salt merchant of Hangzhou fashioned his fortune into one shimmering white tower. The sun rose, and the emperor, seeing this rival glistening on a distant hill, demanded to touch it. Imagine those Hangzhou courtiers refusing their emperor's request. Imagine the emperor accepting this refusal from his subjects as he returned to Beijing to rule his kingdom, most advanced in learning and inventions throughout the world. I thought maybe some of our presidents ought to listen to this. Shall I read one more?
Of course, please do. Oh, please, you've got another 10. You can take as long as you like. We have the entire night, and I want more. More. Give me more.
Okay.
I do.
Probably shouldn't read this one, but I will.
Why? Is it dirty?
New Delhi Shoeshine, India. Listen, can you hear me? I have to whisper. This is not my country. But I must tell you what happened to us walking across the way-worn grass in Delhi toward shops selling silver jewelry, Indian rugs. Shoeshine boys, hair and eyes black as crows, circled round us, insisting, very cheap, mister, very quick, madam. Defying our no, they captured our avoiding glances, flaunted our fear. Shit on your shoe, the limping one pointed. A brown, soft snake lay curled on my husband's boot. We clean, we fix, they chanted, grabbing the boot, blocking our path. Better job off. First one boot, then the other was in their hands. Actors, alchemists, they tore out the insoles, replaced them with new ones, shined and slicked, slipped one boot on, demanded $10, snubbed our $3. The leader grabbed our $5 final offer and disappeared with the money before we understood we'd ransomed only one shoe, owed his minions $5 for the other. Wretched with admiration, I wanted to cover my eyes, cover my ears, refused to turn when a 6-year-old bumped me, refused to hear when he said, shit on your shoe.
Yeah!
Since we're still in India.
By the way, someone in India said that's a good description.
That's a good description of what goes on there.
Oh, okay.
They provide you a service, then ask for money.
Yeah.
Service you can't refuse. But
Yes, chasing a person through the airport who has my bag.
Oh,
Oh no.
this is called Rajasthani Bound in India. I am both sight and sightseer, wandering this Rajasthan desert, past a grand stone haveli, home to a family with lineage. What will be out of bounds to my tourist camera as my may I photograph smile is noticed by the saris in the cloistered courtyard, and I am waved inside past a cloud of peach, rocking the infant in a slatted cradle. Am I to be spiced for a dull afternoon? Mother-in-law, sister-in-law, grandmother, all sheathed in silk, glittering gold, nod to this drab Westerner, my beige boyness suddenly fading me to tears. Shyly, I point to their saris, and they are wrapping me in colored cloth around my waist, over my shoulders, pinning me in, bracelets up both arms. Then a diamond tiara holds down my hair, my neck tight in gold chains, breath halt now and shallow. Mincing steps replace my Western stride. Soon, bored with their game, they turn away. I hold up my tiny mirror. Like them, I am beautiful and bound.
Anything from Spain?
No, I don't. I've never been to Spain.
Ireland or Scotland or?
But I kinda like the music.
I'm afraid.
Where have you been? No, it's awesome hearing that last one was awesome.
It is.
How about any more from South America?
Yeah, I do.
Or Central America.
I got one from each. Here's South America. This is called Swimming in the Amazon. Seed on a leaf, cloud on the breathing wind. My body a speck on this river, this Amazon of beginnings. Andes snow to the river, river to rain, rain to the river, that carries its memory locked in the circle of beginnings, rings of raindrops. Look at me, river, you of endless beginnings. I am dancing circles in your water. See the foam painting pictures of clouds, clouds telling stories of foam. I no longer have a beginning, and the current swift. Hold me, river, the way a flower holds a beetle in a night of nectar, releases its listening body to the sun. Grasp me here, where your vines are a faithful reflection of the trees and vines woven above me. This vain guarana leaf floating past, with its small circle of seed and small circle of rot. Did you send it to me, river, so that I will know that rot is renewal? Learn your language, the language of leaf and seed. And you wanted one of Central
America.
Okay.
Where the term America came from.
That's right.
This is called the Sand Artists of Costa Rica. A dancer, elaborately drawn with specks of sand, swirls a hula skirt just beyond the waves, near sunflowers and balloons drawn with strings. Who is this artist who sneaks upon the beach at night to decorate the silent sand, each drawing abstract but identifiable? See the birthday cake, the bicycle, its thin rimmed tires. Too many careful pictures for a child's slim patience. Adults too busy tanning to be bothered, or the teens at sunset, all music and movement. Tiny holes, no larger than the beads of sand they paint with, identify the artists. Crabs digging new homes to replace the ones the rising tide has washed away, unaware that their talent rivals paintings for sale in shops bordering the beach. Okay. Should I keep going, or?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, how about one closer one, and you did a half hour in my love? How about, give us one, your awesomest one that you can think of. One more.
One more.
One of
Okay.
ours. Your signature piece. Even if it, oh, there's that one.
This is called Home. Cement fresh spread like icing on my walk, and along each side green hills of lawn. While I dream the pavement dry to simple squares, chipmunk, fervently awake, burrows a house beneath these slabs, lines his new home with velvet soil. What is the language between us? He lives within the now of an acorn. My body is mired in time. I see danger in each widening crack. Fear a child will trip, the postman stumble, helpless chipmunk babies crushed. I want to hold chipmunk, explain foundation, weight, and stress to him, even to the acorn. My land, his burrow, how indivisible. Will I teach property law to a creature serene in his home, the work of his hands, or trace our birthrights back to Solomon? And if I, this shadow, this noise, trail seeds to a safe house I've dug, neat and smooth behind a bush, why would he leave his den? Or fear trampling feet which could collapse the sidewalk upon him. We both forage for food, too busy to read signs that warn of floods, or marching boots that may be moving toward us even now. We do not look up, believing that the inchoate sky has no capacity to fall. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I don't think that was loud enough. Get up one more time for Jerry Pendergast.
No, it's just awesome. No, it's true. You're awesome. No, you are. And I'm pleased that you've got a feature in 2014, because that was something I was going to talk about here. Because, well, you know, I know it's next November, which is kind of close to the end of the year. If you want to have a seat, Angel. But I just thought, you have to stay up there so I can give you proper applause. That was why I had to call you up there. But I might as well say, because we're at the end of the year, that, oh my gosh, can I actually trail them all off? Dun, dun, dun. We are not going to be around. Well, if you guys want to come here, maybe they've got nothing going on the 1st of January, and somebody wants to come up and read poetry. I'm not going to be here, but no. Teresa's like, what? What's going on? No. We're taking that time off so that everybody has their own thing. Our next thing is on January 15th, and we've got Panther Curly as a feature for that one. And guess what? I know. I'm just going to rattle through these because January 29th actually has Wayne Allen Jones. Awesome. And February 12th. What?
Those are my son's birthdays. 15th and 29th.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't know if I can make it because I've got birthdays things, but there's cool poetry things going on at the same time.
The older one's in Italy.
Well, then you can go and sing something in Italian for him. No, but he won't know it. But all right, February 12th, Mary Ann Schaefer. Yeah, I gotta have some right before Valentine's Day. The 26th of February is Elizabeth Marino. And guess what? March is taken up by Tom Ruby on the 12th, Janine Robinson on the 26th. April 9th, we got Sid Yish, and there might be a band, a Danish band coming from the other side of the planet to actually join them. We can't confirm this, but it's very likely that's going to be going on. Rocky Rice. Oh, it's April 23rd, May 7th, Robin Fine. Robin Fine's on my wedding anniversary. God, I have to show up here.
What day is that?
May 7th. Wednesday, May 7th is Robin Fine for a thing. Virginia Hunt is on Wednesday, May 25th. Pardon me?
Remind us to bring champagne.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, everybody should bring. Well, no, because you can buy it from here. Because this is a bar, you don't just bring champagne along. But thank you very much for that thought. That's very kind of you. You can bring a cupcake. No, don't. You don't have to do anything because you should all be for Robin because it's her event. And then the beginning of June, on June 4th. but it's fine time in May 7th. June 4th actually has Eric Esden as the feature, and it also, because you hear me talking about CCND magazine, that's the 21-year anniversary of CCND, which means I'm going to ask everybody to read something from CCND. That means, hey, Bob Rashkow, hey, Jerry Pendergast, if you've had something published, you can read, hey, this was published in this issue, this is a poem of mine that was published there, and it's called
This
this.
time I won't screw it up.
Yes, you can read that one, yes, because I've got that one, and you can have the second page, because that happens to be no, that's totally cool. You could do that one, or you could do an older one, or whatever you like, or you could say, I found a haiku, or whatever, and just read something off, just because I'm asking you to, because it's CCD, and they're 21, and they're old enough to drink, they can hang out in here now. My literary magazine can hang out in here without you boys, so, in the end of June, oh God, I don't even want to say, June 18th is my own feature, because I'm going to be releasing a book of poetry called Partial Nudity.
Yeah.
And it's going to have my mammogram on the cover, so that's why it's called it. So, but anyway, I'm not even going to go there. I've just spent far too many months into it. But what I want to do, I can't see you really because I've got bright lights. Is Scotty in the house? Yeah, oh, that's you there. I'm sorry, it's dark. I'm really, really thrilled because this guy is like, I can take care of this place and I'm an awesome guy, but I never get to hear it. And he's got a couple of things he might actually read from memory. So please, please give it up for Scotty, my love.
I'm glad she knows I'm short.
Everybody, I am like a giant person. I'm like, I do that for everybody. What?
I'm just gonna say like 2 poems. One of them I wrote when I was like 17. That's what I'm gonna say. 2 years ago, I said never again, but it snuck up and hit me in the back of the head, only to realize I was hurting again. It's a tricky game, no one can avoid. It's called love. You can't escape what you can't see. It's called love. You fall into it so easily. It's called love. You try to run, you try to hide. It's called love. It don't work. You've tried it so hard. And this one, if there's any virgin ears out there, just close them. This is a poem I actually wrote for a girl, and I never gave it to her because I ended up dating her friend. But
Push it in.
it's Manny, Manny, looking sweet as candy. Your walk so fine, so luscious and randy. I thought you were nice, as good as can be. I should have thought twice. 1 and 1 don't make 3. You're playing with my heart. This much I know. I should have known from the start. I wish you'd have let it show, but I fucked it up. Sorry.
Oh, it's right. You got any more? What?
I'd have to start from the beginning.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Manny, Manny, looking sweet as candy. You walk so fine, so lush and rainy. I thought you were nice, as good as can be. I should have thought twice. 1 and 1 don't make 3. You're playing with my heart. This much I know. I should have known from the start. I wish you would have let it show. But this much I know. See, there's this.
Improvise.
I tried.
Oh.
I can't remember it.
What's your name, Mandy?
Yeah, it's.
Keep saying, Mandy, you suck. You really suck.
All right, I'll try
You
one
really
more time,
suck.
just because you did that.
Yeah.
Play the name game with her name.
Mandy, Mandy, looking sweet as candy. Your walk so fine, so luscious and randy. I thought you were nice, as good as can be. I should have thought twice. 1 and 1 don't make 3. You're playing with my heart. This much I know. I should have known from the start. I wish you would have let it show. But this much I know. See, I'm sorry.
Just keep screaming, you suck.
I'll figure it out by the next time.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's like there's one line I can't tweet.
That's why us peons bring hard copy.
But thank you so much. Please give it up one more for Scotty. Give it up for Scotty.
I thought I would read, just to close off the evening, and we had the time, and we've got all the time in the world because, I don't know. I would read a couple pieces that were from periodic table poem pieces from past shows that happen to be in this CC&D collection book. And the ones I was going to read from are ones from 10/4/2013. As an opening act for the Hammond of South Africa. They were set to his music, but you don't need to care about that. This is a poem. I'm going to do this one. This is called Galleon. This is number 31 in the periodic table. Isn't that moment of expectation almost the best part? How it melts in your mouth and not in your hands? Or is it the most heart-wrenching part? When you think everything is over, you see that at 30 degrees C, everything melts away. And you think you shouldn't be doing this, that this shouldn't be happening. But on a hot day, everything is held in peril. Because as I said, everything can melt away. Yeah, I know how they say it melts in your mouth and not in your hands. But after a lick, it doesn't have much of a taste. It's a bit astringent and has a metallic taste that lasts a few hours. But as I said, it melts in your mouth and not in your hands. But no one can even know what it tastes like when it's molten. But still, with a low melting point and a high boiling point and no toxic vapor, it contracts as it melts, much like water. So it actually floats on its own liquid. You want to see it floating away on itself like that. You want to see what you think are the laws of nature being broken. So you wait for that moment of expectation, to see that moment of change, and wonder if that's almost the best part. There's like anybody can make periodic table poems. It's not like something you could listen to. But a lot of them, it's like, as I said at that end, when some of them you don't know anything about them, and some of them at the high end, they have 4 atoms, and scientists don't know anything. But you might know something about gadolinium, which is number 64. 64 in the periodic table is gadolinium. This attraction to you, when I learn what you do, are you a force of nature? Is it your magnetism and how my needs only magnified as I draw closer to you? That's the only way I can explain this, you know. I know this momentum in your magnetism chills me to the core. But the world doesn't know that your magnetic refrigeration is the energy we need. You must have a power no one else has harnessed to do this to me. The force you have on me makes my blood rush. And with that blood-brain barrier, I even look at MRI scans, and you're the contrast agent that enhances all my vessels. In older times, the electric force between us would even curl me in an arc to you. I know, I must abide by the laws of physics and motion when it comes to you, because, as I said, with your dynamic equilibrium, you must be a force of nature. Yeah, thank you. Is there, do I have a Jerry in the house?
Yeah.
Is there, I was gonna say, there could even, I just wander around, and if you wanted to read something, I haven't even asked you. Would you like to read something? My darling. I should ask him before, because you came later, so.
Yeah.
Oh, my darling, get on up here, my darling. Anyway, we've got time, so we can pull this up. He's like, I gotta find me something. You had no idea, because, do you want to go second, or do you have something?
I don't have anything like that. But
Okay, Jerry, come on up here, my darling. Come over, Jerry. Hey, sit around. Jerry. Sorry, I'm not very good for cheerleader or figuring out what I'm doing. Sorry. I always sound like a phony. It's just sounds terrible.
Our featured Central America poem reminded me of an exhibit I found I saw in 1992, various Native American architecture and visual art. I forget which nation it was, but a Caribbean nation actually had a form of writing that included conscience. A certain number of conches symbolized a sound. Anyway, a lot of crocodile tears were cried for Nelson Mandela, and lectures were given from people like Fox News on how the people of South Africa or Azania should behave when a man lives 95 years and achieves what Nelson Mandela achieved and pretty much died without a lot of suffering, nothing like what he endured in jail. I wrote this actually in October 2013 for Nelson Mandela. Your pick shipped stone apart while security forces terminated Stephen Biko, ignited a fire in the townships. Our Hollywood presidency and Thatcher constructively engaged your jailers. Never found out the date of the wedding. Many leaders of the free world called you a terrorist. They gave you a teaspoonful of respect when elected president. Our Department of State even took you off the terror watch list in 2008. Now that your Earth walk might soon be over, seems from what I read and hear in our liberal mainstream media, that you are now okay with us, that's capital U, capital S, a people. Piece apart. A piece apart of the land, of the composition, of the conversation. Can we have peace with a part of a hide roadside? Is it the same color as your hide? Should it matter? Do you have a reservation at the only we can get in? Do you live on a reservation? Land torn from gold findings, parceled into allotments from community fields. Do you live in a township? Remember needing permission to leave? Do you attend a township high school in northern Cook County, Illinois? Mega-sized farm campuses. Mega farm-sized campuses. Does your hide ride to work in a limousine on a subway? Can a painted flower on a window hide that no one lives inside? Can we have peace if some have no part, deciding the subject, the verb, only a sentence, to badlands, to prisons, no lines, only a fragment, a drowned out note. That will appear in, I'm going to do a plug for myself there, that will appear sometime in 2014 in Blue Collar Review, published in Virginia.
Thank you, Haley, for speakers.
Double plus awesome. He's like, oh crap, I just walked in front of the camera. Joffrey, do you have something that you would like to do? He's looking for the happy Christmas poem because I asked him, hey, get a happy Christmas poem.
Bob's got a Christmas
Give it up for Joffrey. We're gonna get some quick move. Come on. We started late, so we can do this. It's awesome. Come on up there.
Well, I don't have a Christmas poem of my own. But this is from the Raging Grannies in New York. Grandmothers Against the War. Let me see if I can. Joy to the world, let let's end each war. Let earth be peaceful once more. Let all the girls and boys find no more war toys. And all our troops come back from Afghanistan and Iraq. Oh, war is not the way to live or play. No, war is not the way to live or play.
That's right. Awesome. And I was just thinking that I was going to sing the end because there's usually a singer-songwriter night, and I don't have a guitar around or a good enough playing. Well, no, there's a good enough playing guitarist, but he doesn't have a guitar. This, a lot of you have heard this, and it's just the only one I can think of. This is what we need in life. I don't know where this road is taking me anymore, and I don't know the right lines to say. I don't feel the things that you're feeling down deep inside of you, but I know this ain't the way, because nothing ventured, nothing gained, nothing changes, nothing stays the same. So you go your way and I go mine. Maybe one day we will find what we need in life. What we need in life. I watch the ashes from your cigarette fall to the ground, and I think this fire will die down. I think I now see what is happening here between us, and I have to say goodbye, because nothing ventured, nothing gained, nothing changes, nothing stays the same. So you go your way and I go mine. Maybe one day we will find what we need in life. What we need in life. I can't stay bitter and lonely and restless anymore, and I can't stay here with you. I see the red in your eyes and it scares me half to death. And I'll take this road alone, because nothing ventured, nothing gained, nothing changes, nothing stays the same. So you go your way and I go mine. Maybe one day we will find what we need in life. What we need in life. Yeah. I am going to applaud the Chicago Gallery Cabaret. Thank this place so very much for having this place up for us all year, this year and last. And looking forward to next year's Tokyo. And have a wonderful, I would try to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, every holiday that everybody might possess. Enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing you all on the 15th of January. Thank you, thank you, thank you.